So as you guys could see, we got the hood finally on. We still need to adjust it a little bit. We got the new GTR hood brackets installed, as you can see here. The hood's obviously pretty easy to swap out. There's 2 nuts here, 2 nuts on the other side. Just gotta unclip the windshield washer lines from the OEM hood and then reconnect them on to the GTR hood and this little bracket here also. So I just disconnected everything and I ended up moving it aside, removing the OEM GTT hood and installing these GTR brackets here. Those 2 12mm bolts here. We ended up bolting on the R-Tune hood, and as you guys can see, it's carbon fiber Nismo R-Tune hood. So these were the GTT brackets and those are the GTR. As you can see, this section right here, this section here is a lot thicker than this section here. Looks so much better with this R-Tune hood on. But the R-Tune hood is on. As far as the gaps, this one lines up really good. This one lines up all right. So I do need to shift the hood a little bit. I still need to align the hood. It's not properly aligned, so I do need to align it, but fitment is gonna be really good as far as I can tell. And as far as the windshield wipers, I believe because of the paint, they're not going in. So I am gonna have to sand it down or file it down a little bit in order to get the washers to fit. I'll do that at a later time. For now, let's just go get working on the rear end. All right, so we're gonna clean out this rear bumper support, sand it down, and we're gonna go ahead and spray this with the black primer. So I'm gonna get this sprayed up, remove the rear bumper, get this thing thrown off, assemble the whole rear bumper for the last time, and install the Nismo rear spats as well. I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the tail lights. But first things first, I need to get this thing painted. The rear bumper support is now painted, and I decided to go with a black primer. As you can see, the whole thing is now sprayed. All right, so here I have the OEM GTR rear bumper hardware. So you have 3 clips for the top of the bumper. You have 3 clips for the bottom, and I'm gonna show you guys the clips right now. So there is 1, 2, 3 clips that'll go up top. Then you're gonna have 1, 2, and all the way right here on the bottom, you see there. So those are the clips. Now let's move on to the hardware. So these would be the inside bolts that go inside of the car. So this nut is obviously gonna go right here. Silver bolt with the washer, it's gonna go through the inside of the car and it's gonna go hooked up to there. So it's upside down. We have these bolts right here, 10mm bolts that will go right here on this portion of the bumper. Then we have these 2 bolts here, this 10mm bolts, which are gonna go underneath the bumper. We have 1 and 2 holes right there that these are gonna go through, and that's essentially it. It's just the same on the other side. So I just wanted to go through the OEM GTR rear bumper hardware because it took a little bit to figure out where each bolt went. Oh, and you actually also have 2 more bolts, those black ones there. So those are gonna go onto the rear license plate light bracket. I bought these from Nissan. Came with the hardware, 10mm bolts, and it came with this hardware right here also. We're gonna go ahead and throw the rear bumper on and show you guys what that looks like. All right, now the rear GTR BNR34 bumper is installed. Let's go ahead and install the Nismo rear spats that we got in the mail. So let me go ahead and show you guys those. So here we have the Nismo rear valances. What came in the boxes, of course, the rear valances themselves, 1 for each side for the rear bumper, of course. It also came with instructions and these templates. And the hardware we got for this was this little foam sealer, I guess you could call it, that goes around the edge. As you can see, I already installed those on both. And it also came with 4 nuts, 4 bolts. Got the instructions here. You guys could pause it and take a look. So what I got from these instructions is that we're gonna use the center bolt here that comes with the rear bumper. That is why they only provided you 2 bolts, so 1 for each side. And then of course the 2 nuts, 1 for each bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and install these and I'll show you guys exactly how I did this. So I went ahead and marked out the holes and drilled them out already. As you can see, there's 1 right there and 1 right there. All we have to do is put on the rear spat. I'll go ahead and bolt this up and then I'll get back to you guys once I'm done. Turbo spats are back on. Now to say, man, this car is really starting to take shape. Little by little, this thing is getting better and better. Just look at that, man. The rear spats are in and they look amazing. So now let me show you guys exactly how the setup down there is. So as you guys can see, we have the 3 holes here, 1, 2, and 3 right there. So we ended up utilizing one of the OEM mounting locations. So this bolt you put in first, then you'll mark each side with the marker, and then you'll drill those out. And as you can see, the other bumper bolt sits just like right there. I just wish I had a rear diffuser to mount, but I don't. So eventually down the line, I'll probably get one. And look at this thing, this rear bumper starting to take shape. I wish the side skirts were on. Those are going on pretty soon, just waiting on a little bit of hardware to come in. Those will be on soon. Next step is obviously going to be the tail lights. So I got the ZLED tail lights today in the mail. Got a little ahead of myself and installed the covers onto the tail lights. You guys didn't really miss much. So these were new covers from Nissan. The only thing is that this molding came off of the light, so I'm gonna have to put on a new one, but that's not a big deal. So yeah, these are the ZLED tail lights, and these are the stage 3B option, which is the highest option they do carry. They did come with a load resistor, and of course I got ahead of myself, so I ended up drilling 1 hole for that, which I shouldn't have done. I built, because I will be running a relay to the light relay inside the car, so that way I could throw LEDs all over the car instead of running this load resistor. But as of now, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw on this load resistor, and then once I swap that out, I'll go ahead and come back to the tail lights and remove that from this harness. Pretty simple to install, so let me go ahead and show you guys the wiring. So we got the actual plug that connects to your OEM harness. These wires right here aren't necessary. These are just for show, just if you want to run the show option when you're at a car show. Probably not going to run these now. Eventually down the road I probably will, so I'm probably just going to end up disconnecting this and setting this somewhere safe where I don't lose it. I mean, here we have another wire, and this one is just going to go ahead and hook up to the wire on the other tail light. So you got to make sure that these wires facing the right direction. You see the pink wire lines up with the pink wire there, white lines up with the white, purple with purple, black with black. If you don't hook it up this way, then you're gonna fry something on your tail lights, and it's not gonna be good. Just in case you're not, paying attention, you're excited, whatever, installing it, just pay attention to the color of the wire. Brand new, a little bit dirty, my fault. And I also went for the incognito mode, so if you look inside, you can't see any of the LEDs on either one of the tail lights. You could kind of see the ring that goes around the lights just a tad bit, but other than that, you can't really see anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these tail lights on and turn them on for you guys, show you guys what they look like. So I wanted to show you guys before I finish installing these. As you can see, the load resistor is sitting there, so it's going to sit in that pocket of that light, so it's not going to be touching the headlight housing or any of the plastic, bolted directly onto metal. The thing about those load resistors is they get pretty hot after prolonged use, so you don't want the load resistor touching the taillight housing, or it's probably going to melt it. So the incognito mode ZLED taillights are now on, and I gotta say, man, these things look amazing. If I didn't tell you there were ZLED taillights, you probably wouldn't even notice. They look like OEM taillights to me. You can't see the LEDs unless they're on, which is why I chose the incognito option. You could kind of see the ring around it, which is pretty cool, but that's the only thing you can really see. And that's if you're really paying attention to it. If you're not paying attention to it, you can't really see it. A few things left for us to do before we get these lights on. Connect the light, simple as that. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect this option here. We don't want these wires touching anything, causing a short. This is for the show mode. Once again, we're gonna save that, put that away somewhere. Last step before we get these lights on is to connect this wire with this wire. All right, we got that connected and out of the way. Now all we gotta do, well, before I turn them on, I'm just gonna go ahead and connect these, get these lights back on, and we should be good. So here we have the third brake light that we were missing. We're gonna go ahead and install this onto the trunk of the R34. I forgot where I purchased this from, but it did not come with the hardware. It is OEM, so I had to go down to the store and get some M6 bolts, 10mm bolts for this thing. So I ended up getting these, and we're gonna go ahead and throw them on. So the third brake light is finally installed, and I gotta say, this thing looks a lot better than having an empty space there. It just looks so clean. And I was gonna go for the LED version, but I ended up going with the OEM version before I saw the LED version. So I'm just gonna stick to this one. We're gonna go ahead and throw the trunk interior back into the trunk. As you can see, we already started. We got that one in. That one's about to go in after the side one, and we gotta just get the rest of it on. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Man, these ZLED tail lights look insane, and that's because this battery is low. On full battery, these things will shine even more. I cannot wait to access the app and get all the different modes. I can't access that thing right now. I need the access code, and I forgot where I left the box. So I gotta go back and look for the access code. Once I get that, you see, lights went off, battery's done. But I gotta look for the access code, show you guys all the different modes on these. Eventually, I'll show you guys the rest. So huge shout out to ZLEDs, not sponsored whatsoever. They just make some dope ass tail lights. So the rear end is coming along nicely. There's still more I need to do to it, not 100% done, and that will be in the near future. So we'll just come back to it later. We're actually gonna get started on the sides and the front end pretty soon, so you guys do not want to miss that. Stay tuned, because this build is gonna get good. A lot more R34 content coming your way, so stay tuned.